They can't touch it because when you look into the story, the real villain is Joy Taylor. And I don't say that with any sort of delight or any sort of animus. I don't dislike Joy Taylor. As I told you all last week, I was just wise enough to say, nah, you need to be careful, Whitlock. Joy is a recipe for destruction for you. Proceed with caution. And the New York Times won't expose this story and dive into what does this really mean, because Joy Taylor is the actual villain in this story so far. The way the allegations are laid out, the way Nusheen explained the allegations, it's actually the half black, half white woman who claims to be a black woman who is the villain.
That's what.
And the New York Times and mainstream media, they don't allow black women to be the villains.
Jason Whitlock goes off on the mainstream media for protecting Joy Taylor. I want you to hear exactly what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
Remember last week? Holy cow, what a huge, huge story. It was the lawsuit that rocked Fox Sports.
Legendary.
That Nusheen Farji, the hairstylist, the single working Iranian woman, has some allegations in a 42-page lawsuit that are and were and they're amazing. They're sensational. They're amazing. They're titillating. They're explosive. And it speaks to a culture that Nusheen says permeated Fox Sports. And she alleges, insinuates in her lawsuit that there's a bunch of other women that have similar complaints and perhaps will join her class action lawsuit. The allegations paint Rupert Murdoch in a bad light and Fox in a bad light. She tries to point to, like, there's a continuing pattern at Fox Sports that the things that Nusheen is saying that Charlie Dixon and or Skip Bayless or Joy Taylor were involved in, that this is kind of the what's expected in a Fox environment. She points to, hey, Jamie Horowitz, when he was running Fox Sports, had the same problem. Probably insinuates that, other high-profile people at Fox News have had the same problem.
Yeah, Fox is going through it. They've had a lot of rumors put out there over the last few years. So this whole Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, the makeup artist, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays itself out. But let's get back to Whitlock.
And so you look at this lawsuit and you say, wow, this is like a fantasy. This is this is everything the New York Times dreams about. This lawsuit speaks to the toxicity and the negative ramifications of the patriarchy. Look at these women and how they were exploited by these white men. Rupert Murdoch, Skip Bayless, Charlie Dixon.
Yep.
You have a lawsuit that says that Rupert Murdoch's company, and Rupert's in his 90s, white man, that his company has created an environment where a 70-year-old white man, Skip Bayless, worth millions of dollars, Rupert's a billionaire, Skip Bayless is a multimillionaire, and he's in his 70s, and an executive that's making high six figures, low seven figures, white man in his 40s, Charlie Dixon, that look at them just run wild. Look at the patriarchy, the white male patriarchy. This is the stuff the New York Times dreams about. And the question I'm asking now, 10 days later? Why is the New York Times, why have they avoided this story?
Yeah, that's the huge question. You notice this whole Joy Taylor situation, it was mainly jokes, but it wasn't a huge backlash for Joy. So the media, mainstream media, they're trying their best to kind of bury this story. They're just going to let everything play out and hopefully go in Joy Taylor's favor. And maybe she didn't do anything, maybe she did, but it's awfully quiet in mainstream media with this topic.
Go punch it into Google and see what has the New York Times written about this story. Nothing. There's
a
one
thing.
article you'll find where some person that's an editor for The Athletic, which the New York Times owns, has written a piece about it. And it was written for The Athletic, and it was just basically aggregation of what had been written by others. No New York Times spin on it. No New York Times think pieces on it. It's an aggregated piece from some editor from The Athletic, and they've given it the white glove or I don't know, what do they call it, the white branding or something. I forget. They pretended like it's associated with the New York Times. But the New York Times has not dove into this story.
They know what they're doing.
I told you all last week that the Washington Post had reached out to me, Ben Strauss. I didn't return the calls. I have no interest in working with the Washington Post. I don't trust them. Ben Strauss has written false things about me. I have no trust in the Washington Post and corporate media. But the Washington Post has dealt with this story, in my view, with kid gloves. No one's trying to further this story. Where are the think pieces from the great elite leftist media organizations, particularly the New York Times?
They're trying their best to not even cover this topic. No one wants to get canceled, in mainstream media. You talk about a black woman that may be accused of something, not saying she did it, but if you even put that in the air, you could be fired or you can catch a lot of backlash. So of course they're going to be handling this situation with kid gloves just because they don't want to face that mainstream backlash if they were to question Joy Taylor and her motives and these allegations. It's obvious.
This is their fantasy. They hate Rupert Murdoch. They hate Fox. Rupert Murdoch and Fox are supposed to be the antithesis of everything that's wrong with the world and what's wrong with the white male patriarchy. Crickets.
Silence.
Not a word from the New York Times. And you have to ask why. And I'm going to tell you why. And it's all connected to everything that's going on in the world. They can't touch it because when you look into the story, the real villain is Joy Taylor. And I don't say that with any sort of delight or any sort of animus. I don't dislike Joy Taylor. As I told you all last week, I was just wise enough to say, nah, you need to be careful, Whitlock. Joy is a recipe for destruction for you. Proceed with caution.
And then he caught a lot of backlash because they wanted to take a 10 or 15 second clip with the big cans and peanut butter skin, but it went over everyone's head that he was basically saying, Joy Taylor, she may be cool, but I'm going to proceed with caution, a hi and goodbye type of thing, and just keep it moving. But yet the media is quick to attack Whitlock based off his statements and opinions. But yeah, Joy Taylor, she's cool. Nothing's going to happen to her. Mainstream media.
That's all I said. Is, for that's trouble. You should stay away from it. Big cans, peanut butter, blah, blah. I'm not going to rehash that because I'm not doing this for giggles at this point.
It was funny, though.
But they can't touch it, and the New York Times won't expose this story and dive into what does this really mean, because Joy Taylor is the actual villain in this story. So far, the way the allegations are laid out, the way Nushin explained the allegations, it's actually the half black, half white woman who claims to be a black woman who is the villain.
That's what
and the New York Times and mainstream media, they don't allow black women to be the villains.
And that's what we're seeing. And again, this is coming from a black dude, but yet you got to call it like how you see it. So based off everything that's in the findings so far, yeah, you got to bring Joy Taylor up, and she got some explaining to do, or even at the least, why isn't the media covering that portion of it as far as Joy Taylor? She may have been on some BS, but yet, again, you got a black woman. Then, she got her white side as well. You put that together, that's perfect for her as far as not being covered in the media, as far as having some stuff going on as far as this lawsuit. So, yeah, that's what we're seeing. And I hear what Whitlock is saying, and I agree with that.
They don't allow any accountability for black women. Black women are a new segment of the chosen ones and the chosen group. and the perpetual victims that no one can question. They've been grafted into that chosen one family that's untouchable. Because if you criticize them, oh my God,
you're canceled.
It's an affront to God to criticize the black woman. And everybody must devote their lives to the elevation of black women. That's the new religion that's been created in America in particular. And so the New York Times can't touch this story because Joy Taylor, if you read the allegations and has someone that has spent some time working at Fox Sports and knew everybody involved, I can't vouch for the veracity of everything that Nusheen said in her lawsuit. But what I can say is, yeah, that don't sound far-fetched. From what I saw, what I witnessed, what I experienced, that don't sound crazy.
And again, Whitlock, he's speaking from the inside out, meaning he's been with Fox. He was there for many years, so he knows what's going on. But yet we're going to skip over Joy Taylor and let's attack Jason Whitlock just based off comments that he may have made 10, 20, 30 years ago. Let's go ahead and bring that up and let's try to protect Joy Taylor. Joy could have been black, white, Chinese, whatever. I just want people to be held accountable and at the least cover the story as far as what Joy Taylor may have done. Yeah, we know these are allegations, but we've seen other people have allegations and they throw the book at them before they even enter the courtroom. So it's a lot of hypocrisy going on in mainstream media.
Now, I don't know if every fact is true. I don't know if things have been spun, out of control, out of context. But it don't sound crazy. And so the allegation that Joy Taylor planned and participated in having sex with Charlie Dixon or high-up executive to attain power within Fox Sports, to move up the ladder and eventually get her own television show at Fox Sports, and that she planned on, according to Nusheen, that if things ever spun out of control, she would just say, hey, Charlie Dixon forced himself on me and, I was a victim.
Yeah, it's alleged that she could have played that Me Too card. Yeah, if you don't move me up within the company, get my own shows, you know what? You did something to me. Not saying that it's true, but they're not going to cover that part of the angle in the news. They're just going to try to focus on Skip Bayless, not saying that, he's innocent or guilty, but it's easy to throw the book at the dude, but yet the female, they're always going to get that pass. So I just want everybody to be held accountable. That's all I want. All the hypocrisy, throw it out the window. Analyze everything within those documents and then bring everybody up to the front and everybody got to explain themselves. No matter if it's Skip, Joy, Charlie Dixon, whomever, everybody got to be held accountable, especially in this situation.
That's what the allegations in the lawsuit said. And so when this lawsuit spun out, everybody was like, hey, Skip Bayless offered somebody $1.5 million for sex and let's focus in on that. And hey, there's an executive at Fox that was having sex with an employee and maybe having sex with other employees. And everybody, the expectation was that was going to be the story. Skip Bayless and Charlie Dixon. People that read the lawsuit said, no, Joy Taylor's the actual story, and we're going to focus all the attention on her. And corporate media, and the New York Times in particular, has said, no, you can't do that. That's a black woman. She's part of the chosen people. She's a sacred cow.
Yeah, so that was Whitlock pointing out the whole hypocrisy with the Joy Taylor part of the lawsuit. Everybody's trying to skip over that. Everyone just wants the whole Skip Bayless, Charlie Dixon, Emmanuel Acho. Yeah, hold them accountable, which is true. But Joy Taylor, she needs to be held accountable as well. A lot of stuff in those transcripts don't look good for Joy Taylor, but the media is not going to cover that, because she is the chosen one. So it's great to be a woman in this day and age, especially a black woman, because you're going to have the benefit of the doubt. But those allegations made toward Joy, they don't look good. But unfortunately, the media is not going to cover that side of it. And again, it's all Skip Bayless and Charlie Dixon fault, allegedly. And that's just what it is. But shout out to Whitlock for pointing it out. Keep exposing the mainstream media. And again, everyone needs to be held accountable in this lawsuit.